anything in devotional life, whether it is here or in the spiritual realm, you cannot directly approach Krishna. It is always through the spiritual master.
That's right.
And so there is that relationship is still remaining, and so it's not a knowledge-based relationship at that point.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Is your question saying, when it says that vidya disappears, does that mean it just becomes part of the spiritual master-disciple relationship in the spiritual world? Is that what your question is?
No, I was thinking that because of our ignorance, we definitely need that guidance coming from spiritual master to remove ignorance here. And here it is said that the vidya itself is no longer there. But we know that in the spiritual realm, even if you go to the spiritual world, any service that is offered to Krishna, there it is through the spiritual master. So it's not about vidya at that point. The relationship is...
Okay. That's one way of looking at it. Doesn't give that explanation you just gave, but it certainly makes sense. And here's another one. And it's just a linguistic terminology kind of thing. That vidya is that which one receives from Guru and Krishna, and then the transcendental knowledge that's inherent in the soul and in the relationship with Krishna. Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayoja Janyati Asham Vairagyam Jnanam Chalyadhai. The natural consciousness of the soul is now manifest, and thus the vidya that's needed to remove ignorance is no longer required. Say it backwards. The vidya that removes ignorance is required in this world. And in the spiritual world, the inherent knowledge of the soul and its relationship with the Supreme Soul is fully awakened. That is just semantical or linguistic. The vidya potency isn't required anymore. The chit, sat-chit, ananda potency is now fully activated. So it's just making a differentiation between that which removes ignorance and that which is intrinsic to the soul, which is not so different than what you said. Another way of saying what you said. Okay, next. You had a second one?
No.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just heard from you that vidya is extinguished after avidya and the material and subtle body are destroyed through the vidya. So I also heard that the natural position of the soul in the divine consciousness is established, and that's the reason vidya is getting extinguished. So that the soul, when after going to the spiritual world...
Does the soul do what?
When the soul goes to the spiritual world...
Okay.
What is the role of a spiritual master in spiritual world in relation to the soul and the Krishna?
It's eternal. So what shape it takes, we'll have to wait and see. But it's eternal.
So are there further instructions in more pleasing services?
You're probing in what that instruction is, what that relationship is. And it's a relationship where one is continuously learning and growing and being trained and guided and so forth. And it's going to be different for everybody. But the principle is there. As here, so there. As above, so below. Or as below, so above.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Towards the end of the reading, you read the commentary from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and it said something about secondary bhakti. What is secondary bhakti?
It's where the primary, it's the particular translation, but the meaning is this. Some persons have an interest in bhakti, but mixed in with it is an interest in gyan. Or an alternative is, some persons are primarily interested in gyan, and there's a secondary emphasis upon bhakti. That's the meaning. Gyanis, persons that want to know by speculative power, they mix in a little bhakti. That's where bhakti is secondary. It's, you know, it's a description, or it's language describing consciousness and what you rely upon, your place of shelter, what's important to you, and how you direct consciousness, how you strive to know. And it's possible that Gyan is primary and Bhakti is secondary. That's the meaning. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I'm having still difficulty on the same point of knowledge being destroyed. So if my understanding is correct, the instructions we are receiving from the spiritual master is, first thing, how to remove the illusion and all.
Wait. Say it again. Just the last. So this knowledge comes from the spiritual master. Yes. But ultimately it comes from Krishna through the spiritual master. But yes.
That is how to uncover or remove ignorance, and also how our relationship with eternal relationship with Guru and Krishna.
Well, you're asking the same question he asked, not just what she asked.
So in that sense, Guru Maharaj, I'm thinking there is no satiation.
You're thinking there's no satiation.
So there is always that quest.
There's dynamic. All you're saying, is spiritual life static or dynamic? Answer, it's dynamic. So what's it going to look like? Fasten your seatbelt. We're taking off. And it's going to be what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. But it is. And for different persons, it's going to be different. But it's a principle.
In that understanding here, is that Vidya only talking about how to remove illusion and not the other possibilities?
That's one way of looking at it. It's an appropriate way of looking at it. You're just asking the same question again.
Sri Radhika Mataji's question from yesterday evening, 4th canto. You explained yesterday that the title of the 4th canto refers to creation of the Brahmanas.
No. Creation of the fourth order. And then I was asked, what does fourth order mean? And I said it means the Brahmanas.
So the further follow-up question is, the 4th canto seems to elaborate on the line of the Kshatriyas from the genealogical descendants of Manu, including Dhruva to Venu to Prithu, etc. Can you please elaborate on the relevance of the title?
When that question was asked yesterday evening by Sri Radhika, I said this is what it means, and I don't know what Prabhupada's intention was when he gave that title. So my answer to her is, I don't know why Prabhupada used that title. I've not read anything, and I've not heard any explanation. So when you go to the spiritual world, you can ask Prabhupada what he meant when he used that title. Yeah.
Just some kind of a clarification. I didn't pay close attention during the class. I might have missed something, but the Jnana Mishra Bhakti and then there's Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Are they both same? Or like,
Obviously, they're not, because they're two different terminologies.
so the primary characteristic is different in Jnana Mishra Bhakti. It is more towards Bhakti, but it's mixed with Jnana. So then in that case, this is more conducive than the other one?
Yes. It's a technical refinement point, and we'll go back to Godhead if we don't understand it. It's quite okay. Because we want to go Shuddha Bhakti route. Okay, next. Anything online? That's it? Anything in the room? Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.